Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, so two stories to get through here, both regarding Queensland Police, two former Queensland Police officers. I'll tell you, one of them is so disappointing. Anyway, let's check out this first story. Okay, first one. This will just be a quick episode. Former senior Mackay police officer sentenced over child abuse material. This is pretty shocking, I've got to be honest. Anyway, a former senior Queensland police officer will serve 3 months in jail. Seems a little light, the sentencing. Anyway, so 3 months in jail after accessing extreme child exploitation material through the darknet. The Mackay District Court heard Mark Andrew Lua, 52, had engaged in the illicit material between August 2021 and March 2024. He is a father of 3. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of possessing child exploitation material and 1 count of using a carriage service to access child abuse material. Judge Susan Sheridan handed down an 18-month sentence due to the prolonged and serious nature of the offending, directing Lua serve a period of 3 months in jail before 2 years of probation. Personally, that sentence seems a little light, considering, the new laws that have been passed recently and the sentences that they're talking about for these things, and yet child exploitation done over several years, 3 months in jail. I think they need to really hand down sentences that really strike fear in people's hearts. That's what you need. That's just my opinion. So prosecutor Grace Ollison said authorities had been alerted to profiles on a darknet site appearing to contain Lua's name backwards and numbers relating to his police badge number. Wow. That is just... Sorry, that's dumb. That is dumb. Ollison said the police searched the then Senior Sergeant's Mackay house on March 4, 2024. He resigned from the force shortly afterwards. Resigned in disgrace. The court heard Lua had been cooperative with police, handing over devices and passwords, but that he claimed he did not know viewing the material was an offence. Senior Sergeant didn't know that. Wow, okay. So is he saying he should never have been a Senior Sergeant? Because, dude, you mightn't realise, but if you're out there, but if you're a Senior Sergeant in the Queensland Police Service, you have a lot of experience. A lot of experience, okay? You don't just get to Senior Sergeant overnight. There's no one in Senior Sergeant who's only got 5-10 years experience. You're like a 20-year plus. So Ollison said a not insignificant amount of material, including 82 images of sexual activity. I don't want to go into all that. Self-denial. Defense solicitor Greg Maguire argued the web pages containing material were not frequently closed by his defendant, which had skewed the site visitation numbers, and that it was unknown exactly what had been accessed on the dark net. Maguire said his client had expressed feelings of regret, embarrassment, shame, and remorse, and that media coverage had exacerbated his shame. Of course it did. Of course, what do you think's going to happen? Of course it exacerbates your shame. But that shouldn't be considered for part of the punishment. You need people, if you're going to access this kind of material, you need to be punished, and punished properly. So he's argued that Lua has already experienced enough punishment, basically. After his arrest, it's damaged relationships with his friends, former wife, and 3 children. I don't know how your children are going to react over these things. Anyway, and cost him his job in the police service. Well, yeah, your own actions cost you your job, lad. Maguire said that it had also become clear during mental evaluations that Lua had experienced a level of self-denial and repression of his behaviour and had used the internet as a form of escapism. The court heard Lua had shown positive steps in rehabilitation with a psychologist. Listen, what blows me away more is that a senior sergeant in the Queensland Police Service can claim that he did not know viewing the material was an offence. that's either a straight out lie or he is just not an intelligent person. One or the other. And then you've got to, if he didn't know, if that's genuine, well, then you've got to ask yourself, how did you become a senior sergeant in the Queensland Police Service in the first place? Standards. I keep sort of talking about how standards have been lowered in the Queensland Police Service. Crikey. Anyway, let's go to the next story. And listen to this. This is a bit of shenanigans from this. Former Queensland policeman Zac Aaron Chudleigh apologises for pawning evidence for gambling cash. Oh, no, I've just realised what this story is about. Okay, I remember this now. I talked about this story a couple of years ago when it all came out because it didn't make sense. Okay, let's go through this. Former Queensland cop who pawned police evidence to fund his gambling habit has described his actions as a lifelong regret. Ooh. Okay, he's apologised for bringing the service into disrepute after he busted pawning evidence to fund his gambling addiction. Zac Aaron Chudleigh, 32, told Brisbane Magistrates Court during his sentence on Friday that he was obviously very sorry for his actions. Yeah, lad, I'm pretty sure this lad kept denying everything, didn't he? Okay, my apologies. I've had to restart this episode again because I've only just realised I was reading the episode. I was reading the article yesterday, and I didn't. It's only when I started going through, and I'm like, wait up, that name sounds so familiar. And then I'm like, so I had to stop, and I thought I've got to look this up properly. And then I'm like, that's right, that was this dude. Former cop cleared of stealing luxury watches from a raid. This is Chudleigh. I did a story about this a couple of years ago because it all seemed very suspicious. So he's been cleared of this apparently. He's walked free from court after a jury found him not guilty of stealing luxury watches seized in an anti-gang raid. Zac Aaron Chudleigh had faced trial in Brisbane District Court this week, accused of taking 3 luxury watches from an evidence lockup and selling them for jewellery to a jeweller for more than 90 grand. Oh, Chudleigh formerly served as a senior connie in the Queensland Police Crime and Intelligence Command. Not much intelligence getting around in that command, I would say. The jury members handed down their decision on Wednesday after deliberating for 4 hours. But hey, kind of justice in the long run, I suppose. No one's been caught, put it that way, for the missing watch going missing. But Zac Chudleigh gets busted for a couple of phones, lost his job, all that kind of thing. Just some more embarrassing times for the Queensland Police Service, and some very, very well. The first one is extremely disappointing. Okay, anything that involves child exploitation, disgusting and very disappointing. That second one is just so laughable. But good on QPS for still going after Zac Chudleigh, regardless of the outcome of the other, the luxury watch and that. But they still went after him anyway. Anyway, just a few things to talk about within QPS and the continual disappointment that they are for us as Queenslanders. Hey, this is all my opinion. Please let me know what you think.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game with the red light on. I'm just waiting for the change, get my head down low.